Good evening. You're tuned into Friendship, the Power of Positive Living with Dr. James Hughey, a specialist in human affairs, and his special guests, all of whom will aim to help you take charge of the opportunities in your life. Let's go right into the studio right now and join Dr. Hughey for the Power of Positive Living.
Good evening and welcome to Friendship. My name is James Hughey and I'm a counseling psychologist and facilitator of Friendship House here in Galveston. I want to welcome you to the debut of the Power for Positive Living to the KGBC radio community. I'm personally very excited about the adventure that you and I are going to have in the days ahead as we take the power, and the Grand March from Aida that we heard earlier was certainly an introduction to the Grand March of Life. I'd like to encourage you to join me and my guest each Thursday evening at 8 o'clock p.m. This program that we're going to be doing for you each week is dedicated to your wellness as a human being. I believe that personal growth is an adventure, and I believe that we're going to have some exciting times doing that which will be beneficial and helpful for you. We know that basically learning is a challenge. We know that it's a lifelong journey. Life is basically one in which we have grown up being the people that we are, and we've been told and given messages by many individuals. We started with our parents. We went through school. We went through employers, the church, government, social organizations, in an effort to define who we are, and what makes us the people that we are. One of the things about the power of positive living is recognizing that you have the right, you have the ability, and hopefully with the support of this program, the opportunity to define and redefine that thing which makes you so special. Personal growth will be exploring these thoughts, we'll be exploring feelings, we'll be exploring values, your beliefs, your behaviors, those things that make you the very special and unique person that you are. And of course, as we explore, we're going to encourage you to either retain the values and attitudes and beliefs that you have. We're going to encourage you to consider maybe dropping some, maybe changing them, maybe modifying them, and know more about the delightful and unique person that you are. We've been talking about personal growth and friendship as though everyone understands exactly what they are. Well, I sometimes find that it's very appropriate to ask, what is personal growth? What is friendship? There are probably as many different answers to those questions as there are people listening to this radio program. We're going to be focusing on those areas of personal growth that take in three particular areas: your emotional growth, your physical growth, and your spiritual growth. Growth is personal. Growth is individual. Growth takes many forms. Your growth happens with varying degrees. Personal growth takes effort. A growth or your lack of personal growth is a result of choices that you will make. And each week we're going to try and encourage you to understand what is going on with this personal growth and make decisions that are appropriate to you. Now, underlying all of this is a belief that you as an individual are writing your own life script or your own life novel. You are the author of your story. What is a story? What is a script or a life novel? Well, these are the choices that you make on how you wish to live your life. We start with your attitudes. Your attitudes determine feelings. Your feelings determine behaviors. So often people start with trying to understand behaviors. On this program, we're going to encourage you to go back and try to understand the attitudes that determine the feelings that determine the behaviors. But once again, because it is unique and it is your life novel, not mine, not any of my guests, it's going to be yours. It's very unique and it's very personal. But we're here to assist you as you define what makes you the special person that you are. Do you define yourself in a healthy way or an unhealthy way? And who has been doing the defining? You, or have you given that power to others. What does Friendship House, what does personal retreating, what does personal growth do? Hopefully, we provide an atmosphere of listening hospitality, a place where you can feel safe, a place where you can feel comfortable, where you can feel that you are being heard as you explore. You better understand the unique feelings and behaviors that make you special. We provide and offer an empowerment of your life that is positive and that is healthy. And we very firmly believe that you have the ability to know and understand yourself to the degree that you are able to tell others. As a friend, I invite you to share your world with me, as I hope to be able to share my world with you. Let's take the second question now. What is a friend? To me, it is someone with whom you dare to be yourself. I have a little poem or a short piece here that clarifies it in more detail what that means. Let me take a few seconds and share it with you. What is a friend? I will tell you. It's a person with whom you dare to be yourself. Your soul can be naked with him. He seems to ask of you to put on nothing, only to be what you are. He does not want you to be better or worse. When you are with him, you feel as a prisoner feels who has been declared innocent. You do not have to be on your guard. You can say what you think as long as it is genuinely you. He understands those contradictions in your nature that lead others to misjudge you. With him, you breathe freely. You can avow your little vanities and envies and hates and vicious sparks, your meannesses and absurdities, and in opening them up to him, they are lost, dissolved on the white oceans of his loyalty. He understands. You do not have to be careful. You can abuse him, neglect him, tolerate him. Best of all, you can keep still with him. It makes no matter. He likes you. He is like a fire that purges to the bone. He understands. You can weep with him, sin with him, laugh with him, and through it all, and underneath, he sees, he knows, and loves you. A friend? What is a friend? Just one, I repeat, with whom you dare to be yourself. That piece is written by C. Raymond Beran and is entitled, What is a Friend? And hopefully that is the atmosphere we can establish here on Power for Positive Living. Well, you notice that we talk about, and we use the verb invitation. We invite you to be a guest, and we encourage you to go through the process of defining or be defined by others. And part of definition of defining who we are is probably even clarifying what we are not. It is not going to be a therapy hour. It is not a place to come and be fixed by an expert. We encourage you to find your mental and emotional and spiritual and physical foundations elsewhere. But the decorating is for the healthy person. Healthy people have needs. We have a belief that you are the expert on yourself. This is a personal enrichment that will focus on possibility thinking, thinking for challenges, for your concerns. But we will strive to avoid providing the answer, because the answer is only one that you can arrive at. We will explore alternatives available and the prices to be paid for the choices that you choose. Now, we know it's very easy to get attention in self-help personal growth programs by offering guarantees like 7 magic ways to cure depression or 7 ways to overcome and better communicate with your husband, or how to be perfect and popular without any problems in life. But that's not going to be the case here. Basically, we are striving to encourage and support you without necessarily providing the answer for you as an individual. Friendship is for the curious, people who want to learn about themselves and are willing to take the responsibility for learning. So if you find yourself as one who is curious to learn about you as a human being, you as a unique, special person, and you want to learn and are willing to take responsibility for the process of learning, then I personally believe this program could be of benefit for you. We'll be here every Thursday night striving to do what we can do to assist you in your own journey. Now, one way, of course, to handle curiosity, and we're going to be talking about many different ways in the days ahead, is in the area of personal retreating. Now, personal retreating is the primary function of Friendship House, and therefore it seemed very appropriate that we would have our debut here in the KGBC radio community by talking about personal retreating. However, to understand the process of personal retreating, probably the best way is to talk about someone who's been through it. Tonight, I have as my first guest a recent retreatant, one from Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Well, it's a long way from Galveston, and we certainly appreciate Mr. Bill Clark coming in and being with us this evening. Bill, welcome.
Thanks, James, and I send greetings from everyone in the North Country. I'm sure they're envious of me being down here at this time of the year.
With 60 degrees and freezing in Sioux Falls, huh?
That's exactly right.
Well, one of the things that we're trying to do tonight is kind of give an introduction to the whole area of personal growth, personal retreating, and to communicate why is it that we are on the air. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that might be helpful is that you have come and you have just concluded a 2-day retreat, a personal retreat here at Friendship House. And I guess probably one of the first questions that comes to my mind anyway is what led to your making the decision to come, other than the warmer weather, to come on down and spend this time?
Well, I have to admit the warm weather was an attraction, but there are a lot of other reasons I wanted to come down. I'm very active and lead a rather fast-paced life at times. I find myself occasionally just needing to check out of that and to take a breather from it and do some retreating. If that might be time with a book or with a friend. But sometimes there's just time in my life when I need to get away and kind of take a look at what makes me tick and what makes me go, what makes me live this fast-paced life sometimes.
And so decide to slow down and come on down.
Yeah, I feel like I'm worth it.
You know, I hear you say that, and I think that's kind of exciting because sometimes when I'm talking with people, I get the idea that they really don't consider themselves worth taking a period of time to understand who they are. It's almost like, well, I can spend money and I can spend time on other things, but it's very hard to do it on themselves.
That's exactly right, James.
When you're feeling that way, I think you need to step back. We're all worth taking some time for ourselves. I admit that sometimes will feel that I've got all these commitments I need to follow through with family and with my job. But then when I get a chance to step back, I can kind of get a different perspective. And that's what Friendship House has helped me do.
You know, to me, you look like a fairly healthy, typical individual, one that I would meet on the street. And I would say, okay, why go through the process of personal retreating? In other words, you seem healthy, you're married, you have friends. Why pick out a program that is focused on primarily listening?
Hey, I'm about ready in my life now to dig a little deeper and to discover more of who I am. There aren't a whole lot of people out there that help me through that. Everyone leads a pretty hectic life at some times, and there just aren't a whole lot of people that are willing to sit down and talk things through with me.
Yeah, I guess that's one of the things that hopefully we can offer you. After you've decided and after you've arrived, I guess our listening audience would be kind of curious to find out actually what happened. In other words, you arrived, you had this desire to be heard, you wanted to learn more about yourself, and you had some issues that you wanted to explore. What happened after you got here?
One of the first things that I did was decided on what I wanted to talk about, and I liked that. To me, that was better than walking into a program where the program decided what I wanted to talk about for me. And then I just talked to the person at Friendship House about what the issues were that I wanted to address. And we numbered them off, and I picked the first one I wanted to do and just dove in. Now, the interesting thing that I found as I dove into the issues, which involved marriage and my work and my relationships with friends and things, was that I had trouble finding the words for those at first. I think there are some feelings there that I hadn't gotten in touch with lately. Also, it's just difficult at first to share with a person whether you know them well or whether you don't know them well. And
so it takes some time.
It does, and that's one of the other benefits of Friendship House, I think, is that there is the time available for that.
One of the things that we try to offer in the whole area of listening hospitality is to let the individual set the agenda. And since you said you had 4 things that you wanted to explore, were those just something that you had to follow through all the way through, or were you allowed to change, or did you find that you wanted to talk about other things after you got started?
Well, I'll give you an example. For instance, one of the things that I found important to me to talk about is how I can be a little bit more assertive in the work that I do and how I can let people know what I'm thinking and what I'm feeling. As we got to the bottom of that issue, it was more not necessarily how to, but what am I feeling? What am I projecting? And what do I really want to communicate? The bottom part of the issue is, who am I? And I think that's what friendship is about, helping us to discover who we are.
A lot of people, when they talk about issues like who am I, so forth, well, I'm not sure I'm really ready to face that kind of thing. Did the atmosphere at Friendship House help you, handle some of that apprehension as you went through it?
Yeah, I can really identify with the scared feelings and everything like that. That's certainly, I think just about everybody would have those. I like the non-judgmental atmosphere there, and that was certainly helpful. Also, just the space. The friendship folks are good at giving me just sitting down and listening to me, and not making judgment calls on what I say, and not raising their eyebrows as if something I said was wrong, but trying to listen to me and hear what I'm really saying, and then giving me a little bit of direction to kind of help me sort through some issues.
In other words, they offered it, but they didn't try to make you into any particular kind of mold or model.
I didn't feel that. Friendship's philosophy is, we're here to help you discover who you are. And I found that to be very true in my experience.
Well, it sounds like it was very positive for you. What do you sense you're going to be taking back to Sioux Falls other than a memory of a warm Galveston day?
Yeah. I find myself, after 2 days of retreating, I feel kind of excited about getting back. I've learned a little bit more about myself and about what I have to offer people. And the neat thing about my experience at Friendship is, as I realized, hey, I do have some gifts to offer people. Also kind of gave me an opportunity to look at what makes me satisfied with things. The one thing I like about Friendship, it's challenging. They ask some difficult questions sometimes and really challenge us to grow. But one of the questions was, what makes you satisfied? What gives you satisfaction? And I found myself answering a lot of that with the kind of work I do, rather than the relationships I have with people or relationships I have with family. It was mostly involved in work. And
it sounded like it kind of just changed you from looking and focusing in one area of your life to kind of broadening it into maybe a spectrum.
That's exactly what happened. It showed me that there are a lot of areas out there, a lot of people willing to give, and a lot of adventures out there, and I just need to learn to look around a little bit more and take them up on it.
Well, it sounds like you feel more qualified to do that looking.
I think so.
One of the things about personal growth, and we've done some talking so far about personal retreating as a form of improving the quality of one's life, there's a lot of do-it-yourself personal growth. It seemed that probably one of the things that we could offer as a service to the listening community would be to periodically review some books that are available and helping with the retreating process. The book we've selected is probably one that I have used for 20 plus years. The book is entitled, Why Am I Afraid to Tell You Who I Am? And I think, Bill, when you were talking about your retreat, you mentioned this is probably one of the challenges that you had to face in telling another person about who you were.
That's exactly right, James. But the thing I find is it's difficult, even if you know the person. If they're a wife or a husband or a good friend, it's still hard to sometimes tell people who we are.
And sometimes we think we know who we are, but if we actually go through the process of telling another person, we understand, boy, there's a lot of things I can't put into words. There are feelings there that I'm not sure I can define or even clarify. Mm-hmm. And did you sense this as you went through your retreat?
Well, yeah. Sometimes there were struggles, and sometimes I even surprised myself by what came out of my mouth.
Well, John Powell, as I say, has written an excellent book. The question, which is very fundamental as we interact with each other and, make a decision on how open we want to be, how vulnerable we want to be. Well, part of that is I can only know and understand what that is as it relates to my ability to tell another person. Part of it is overcoming an initial fear.
I'm afraid to tell you who I am because if I tell you who I am, you may not like who I am, and that's all that I have. As I think, Bill, back on that, I see in my own personal growth as well as with others that sometimes it's a lot easier to change an external. For example, you're wearing a blue shirt, and if I don't like blue, then you can go home and put on a yellow one or a green one or a white one or whatever. But if you take off and show who you really are and who is the real person under that, and if I say, I don't like that, and you're kind of, left hanging, I would think.
That's a difficult position to be in, and yet it seems like that in our society today we spend a lot of time focusing on the externals. Maybe we're a little bit scared of what we might find inside.
I think that fear is one thing that keeps us from exploring some of the real positives. Most people who have been through personal retreating have generally come out with a kind of an amazement at how good they feel about it, rather the expectation that, boy, this is going to be heavy stuff. I'm going to go out burdened.
That's right. You feel a little bit more liberated, or like a weight has been lifted off your shoulder rather than one added, and you've got something else to carry around now.
And one of those things, as you lift this burden, is to be able to let another person see who we are. That hopefully is an atmosphere, whenever we talk about listening hospitality, is what John Powell is doing, is being able to let you or anyone that comes into Friendship House, being able to be open, feel safe, feel comfortable, and if you say something, to not make you feel ashamed, not to help you feel embarrassed.
Exactly. And Friendship House has a real good way of going about that, I think. And that's something I really appreciated, just the time that was given to me and that open atmosphere.
Well, John starts his book with how beautiful, how grand, and liberating is this experience when people learn to help each other. It's impossible to overemphasize, he says, the immense need human beings have to be really listened to be taken seriously, and to be understood. No one can develop freely in this world and find a full life without feeling understood by at least one person.
Most people, I sense, and it's been my experience too, that we expect the negative to surface rather than, as Bill was mentioning earlier, you kind of surprise yourself and you found some neat things you're eager to get back to Sioux Falls to discover and put into practice.
That's right.
And being able to love self, being able to love others is a very important part of personal growth.
One of the things that I'm well aware of, Bill, is that our time seems to be just about out for this evening. I hope that this has been a benefit for you. I appreciate your being on the debut performance of Power for Positive Living.
Well, I've had a great time, James, and I want to thank you for asking me to be here. Hope that if you're a person who's interested in personal retreating, then Friendship House might be the place for you. It was really a good place for me.
Thank you for your support and also for being able to share it with our listening audience. Well, this is James Hughey, your facilitator at Friendship House and your host here on Power for Positive Living on KGBC. Thanking you for listening this evening, and certainly hope that you will be back again next Thursday night, and hope you will become a regular here on KGBC every Thursday night. Good night.